We are recording. Here comes Henry and Ron, so I'll bring them in.
Right.
All right, and Ron. All right,
And
welcome.
Welcome. Just make sure everybody's muted as well. No background sounds, and we'll get going. Hello, and we say a good day to each and every one of you this moment of your time. And as the Pleiadian Council, we speak on behalf of Galactic Alliance and many guides supporting your planet through this grand process of ascension. We, first of all, always begin by thanking you for it is a pleasure and an honor to be able to meet you and connect in this way. It serves you in growth and evolution as much as it serves us in the same sense, and through both of our experiences, it serves Source and all that is in growing and evolving. So our great thanks shared with you, and we can speak a bit about the evolving energies in your world now. So, as you know, all things come in threes. And with every cycle of three, you experience a revolution. A revolution meaning something that revolves, like a spiral, coming around the same points in the spiral to learn a different lesson. And when you master the lesson and you get to the third of the three experiences, then you can truly complete the cycle and evolve into something new, more clear, more precise, more of an expression of what you want to experience, and more of a pure expression of Source. You see these cycles of three on your planet, for there have been, again, 3 cycles of civilization, you being the third of which, and your civilization being the one where it is in a sense decided whether life on Earth succeeds or fails. In the same sense, it is the third cycle in this solar system. As before, you had civilizations on Mars and on Maldek that both were destroyed. And so your Earth itself is the third expression. And as well, you can see in your present, you are going through this idea of a pandemic in cycles of 3. And so for some of you, the gap between cycle 1 and cycle 2 was not really witnessed or seen, yet you can consider this being the second of 3 waves now. And of course, all of you are now experiencing similar challenges to some degree in greater proportions than you did the first time. And it is important to come to terms with what these challenges are for you individually and for the collective, because they will be faced a third time. And that third time will mark the conclusion of this whole experience, but again, you will not be living in the same world. You will be living in a transformed world. And while you may be very much focused upon the negative aspects of this virus, because you are being in many senses isolated and you are in many senses bickering amongst each other about certain opinions, you must see things from this larger perspective as to what this is doing for your planet as a whole. For one, it is derailing many of the systems of exploitation, and you have the opportunity now to break out of the control, the manipulation, the suppression of consciousness that has been in place in your planet for some time. And if you use it for that purpose, this is truly a positive experience. So you may be wondering, what is the remedy, really? And the idea of a remedy is something you already have within you. And for those of you who do not have the same strong immune systems, the solutions are there. When you work with natural plant medicines, specifically those that are antiviral, adaptogens, and things of this nature, your body can fight off this and any such pathogen. Now, there is some interesting reflections occurring on this time about this idea of a certain remedy we will not name. We assume you know what we are speaking of, for in some areas of your world, there is censorship around this. And what's most interesting is that there is somebody who clearly is representing a force of immense darkness that is getting behind an actual remedy. We wouldn't say that this is the best remedy. We would again say that the natural solutions would be most effective for many of you, but not all of you, because again, everything must be suited and tailored to the individual. So we cannot say what is a panacea, because you have to discover it for yourself. Experimentation and consulting many sources is true for all of you. Though back to what we were saying, is that this figure representing great darkness gets behind something that is a true solution for some of you. And the false binary that you create brings many then to reject this individual because, or rather this solution, because it comes from this individual. And in a sense, this individual, like we have said, is part of the same bigger organism that works in a destructive manner. So the idea of conflicts that you are presented with are sometimes not always real conflicts. They sometimes work to create a division within the human consciousness itself, so that you are too distracted with fighting among each other that you don't get to wake up to the bigger picture. So don't fall for any of these traps. And when you break out of this binary notion of thinking, where if one individual stands for something, everything else that individual stands for must be incorrect, because you make your basis of assumption on the individual and not the individual opinions and ideas that they express. When you do this, yes, you limit yourself immensely, and you do feed the forces of manipulation. You do essentially give away your power and allow them to have a stronger effect in your life. So don't follow any leader, be your own leader. Don't immediately believe something that comes out of anyone's mouth, including the mouth of this channel, for that matter, simply because you like that person or you like other things that they have to say. Especially when it comes to the idea of large-scale public figures now. There's intentional misinformation. It's continuing to occur. And like we said, both this idea of a virus and those challenging and manipulative measures that come along with it come in 3 waves. So this is your opportunity to learn about your tendency to immediately believe something, your tendency to give your power away to authority figures who don't have your best interests, your tendency to perhaps divide yourself from other humans and forget the essential truth of oneness. So we can speak again about this as well. If you see things in terms of all being one, that you are one with every other opposing human on the planet, every individual that does not agree with you or does not hold the same view or does something that you view as negative, when you see them as a part of the one that you are a part of as well, it does not make sense to continue to fight them, to separate yourself from them, or to view them as wrong or evil. You must again extend love for them and question always their intention. If, for example, somebody is doing something that you don't agree with, ask what intention is behind it. Are they doing it out of a genuine concern for the well-being of others? Even if they have belief systems that are misguided, if their intention is pure, you must forgive them, and you may inform them so that they can better meet their intentions. But when you forget that really most of you are well-intended, you allow for these divides in your thinking to perpetuate. And you cannot ascend divided. You can only ascend as whole. You must be whole within yourself, as we have talked about in some transmissions, the idea of integrating the different parts of yourself, the different fragments that are the results of trauma, and the different miniature personalities and archetypes that you may disown. You must integrate them, accept them, embrace them. And likewise, you must embrace every potential that expresses itself through humanity now as a part of your greater self. And humanity itself must unify in order for this ascension to be true and complete. So be whole in your thinking, be whole with your heart, and put your whole heart into everything you do. And we hope this information helps you to navigate these shifting waters and waves. And we also hope that you remember, again, the most important thing is always the spreading an energy of love and lightness, knowing that there is a higher purpose to what is occurring now. So you cannot let it weigh you down, bog you down, keep you in the dumps, so to speak. Use it for positive purposes and continue to spread your heart, your art, in the ways that makes you feel lighter, makes you feel ease, makes you feel joy, knowing that that energy of lightness and joy, as it ripples, is what will signal and create the greatest changes in humanity. So we thank you for allowing these messages to be transmitted, to be received by you. And we now would love to continue to dialogue with you with anything that best serves your interests. We can reflect to you the truth that exists already within your heart and support you in your own deeper personal connection to Source, to your guides, and to whatever you wish to connect with.
Great, everybody, you can just unmute yourself and go ahead and ask the question. And if for some reason you can't use your microphone, you can type it in the chat and I will ask it. So I guess I'll start out. It's kind of like you guys were talking in code. I'm trying to figure out what you were saying. Are you talking about?
Perhaps.
And I'm just wondering, is Trump behind that cure? Or is somebody, I mean, who, she didn't seem like, when I listened to her, she felt really sincere to me.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering who is behind it that is not of the light. That's what I'm wondering.
Well, this cure has been discovered by many doctors around your world, and she is not the only one to speak of it and
Right.
share about it. Now, we were speaking in code for a reason, so
Okay.
we cannot really go into great depth here for
That's
certain
fine.
purposes.
Yeah.
Though what we will say is that there is an agenda to keep this censored in certain parts of your world so that the idea of vaccinations can be employed.
Right.
And
That makes sense. Mm-hmm.
this figure of Trump is known to be one that will immediately signal a negative response in many individuals who are being targeted.
Okay, that makes
Do
perfect sense.
you understand what we are saying?
I totally get it.
So he is cooperating with all of those that are attacking him. You understand? They are not real attacks. It is a staged event. They are,
Uh-huh.
in a sense, competing yet cooperating so that this whole scenario can play itself out.
Right. So because they all want to have the timeline where people want the vaccines so that it benefits big
Yes,
pharma and benefits the whole Bill Gates and
yes.
all that. Okay, got it. Okay. I did want to report that I know what I've been wanting to do this class for a long time, and I just wanted to report that I'm really starting to get energy behind my online class, and it's all about staying in the frequency of joy. So it feels really good after like 2 years of just wondering like what is my class to know what it
Yes.
is now. So I just wanted to report that because I know you guys are all about joy.
Oh, yes. Oh, congratulations. Your
Thank
own
you.
unique way to stay in that preferred frequency is a teaching in of itself. So
Yep.
all of you have your own teaching to share, and you need not compare yourself with the other teachers, knowing that what works for you is something that needs to be shared with the world for others to grow and evolve as well.
Yeah, and I think each one of us has people that will resonate with our specific ways and benefit the
Yeah.
most. So it feels really good. Thank you for all your support with that.
Oh,
Okay,
yes, our thanks to you as well.
with that, I am complete. Thank you so much. And if no one's coming forward right now, I can ask the question from Patreon.
All right.
Okay. From what I understand about the hybrid project, the first hybrid children did not survive from lack of emotional support from their carers. So the races involved needed to develop more nurturing and emotional abilities to be able to continue the project. Is this a correct understanding? That's the
Yes,
first part.
let's start with that part. So the first hybrid children became what you may know to be the tall grays. So this was in the Greys' initial screening of the human race and their initial search to create a new hybrid race. And when they created the first beings, they treated them in a very robotic way, like they treated their own clones. They came to not need certain things like touch and care, affection. Again, the first Greys did not even understand love to the slightest degree. So the first hybrids they created, they kept in machines. They used their machines to analyze them and tried to feed them certain nutrients that they believed to be sufficient, and they did not touch them. But allowed their technology to attempt to take care of them, and those children died. And what they came to discover was that touch, physical touch, which they had stopped expressing in their world, was a key and necessary part
Wow.
of the survival of the new species they created. And as they continued to explore this idea of touch, they came to understand more of the energy of love through scanning the electromagnetic fields that were transferred between bodies as touch occurred and how it affected the heart and the rest of the body. It tuned them into understanding emotion, but they understood emotion first in a very scientific way. And the species they created, the tall grays, were the first to start to reintegrate emotion. But again, these beings were still more oriented towards the logical aspect of things and very much integrated with their technology in a more exaggerated way than the species they would then come to create, known as the Sasani.
Okay, were the Sasani the hybrids of the grays and the humans?
Well, it starts with the grays and the humans coming together to create the tall grays. Then
Ah,
human DNA mixed with tall gray DNA creates Sasani. Then human DNA mixed with Sasani creates Shah Yayel. Then the Shah Yayel with the humans again creates Yayel.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then
Mm-hmm.
the Yayel mixed with the humans creates the Shalanaya, who you know to be the hybrid children that are now located on ships and communicating with you in the dream time. And these are the hybrid children that are maintaining their clearer astral and emotional connection with you.
Beautiful. Okay, so there's a second part of this. It says, and are these hybrid children's needs really met from their environment? Like, I guess she's asking, is it a he or she? I don't know. They are asking if now the children are getting their needs met, the ones who are being
Well,
raised.
the Shalanaya, who are in a way the closest in their connection with you at this point in time,
Bless
excuse the channel's body. So
you.
the Shalanaya, again, who are the closest connected to you at this time, are being nurtured. They're playing with each other. They're being touched and cared for in their ships and
Oh,
various
good.
locations where they inhabit.
Okay. And so the final question, what do these children need from their mothers and fathers on earth? Is it just love, or what would they like us to support them with? Or do they only want to get to know us and support us in our ascension?
Well, you are, many of you at least, are having dream-like experiences you may not remember that you interact with these children, and through the interactions and the information that they obtain from you, the children are learning about your world. And of course, there's love and caring and nurture that is being expressed between you all. And that is really all they need. They need your love, they need your attention, and you don't even need to consciously do anything, because if you have these hybrid children, the chances are quite likely that you are interacting with them in your dream state. Though if you personally would enjoy a deeper connection with them, you may like to consciously practice entering into these dream-like states more so that you can meet the children and consciously recall the experience. That is up to you, however, if that is your preference of passion and joy in this moment.
Great. Okay. That was that question. Thank you so much. And this says, thank you for spreading your love and light.
Oh, and we thank you as well for doing the same.
Let's see if we have any questions on Facebook. Is there anyone in the Zoom room that has any questions at this time?
Yes, Laurel has a question.
Great.
Hi.
Go ahead.
Hi. Okay. I have spoken about starting a meditation and prayer group, and I had a time set up for that. And then I felt that I wasn't ready. Just, you know, it always seems like there's so much on my plate just for survival stuff as my, well, it's a little complicated. I've slowed down and this and that and the other thing. But the important thing is that I canceled my appointment with the person that was going to do the technology. Now, at this point, there is not a lot of impetus to do that, not a lot of motivation. There's more of a no. Now I'm thinking that I'd like to do some writing. Now, I'm not sure if this is just a trick of my mind, not to step out into any kind of leadership, but I mean, I think I could do my writing. I think if I saw myself coming to a block with my writing, I think I would be able to overcome that. So
All right.
there's a lot of things that I'd like to write. I mean, I have a lot of ideas about writing.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, because at some point in my life, I came to a point where I decided from a very harsh experience not to force myself into things, to be more gentle with myself. And so I'm wondering, unless you see some big trick that I'm doing and that I just need to step forward with the Zoom prayer and meditation group, I think I'm just going to do some writing for now. Not try to force myself.
All right. Is that as what truly excites you in the moment?
Yeah, I think I could do the writing. It's a creative pursuit for me, and yes.
You are no longer excited about the prayer group idea?
No.
All right. Then follow your passion. If things
Okay.
change along the way, then do that instead. If
Okay.
instead you wish to start walking dogs from the pound as your greatest passion and dedicate everything in your life to that tomorrow, then that is what you could do. If you instead wanted to write a cookbook tomorrow, you could do that instead. Your passion changes. So don't compare what you were passionate about yesterday to what you are passionate about today. Be fully in what activates that passion today, realizing that what made you passionate yesterday may crop back up later down the line when you have the momentum from the passion activated within you to carry you into the next greatest activity.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
Currently, I believe that the darkest thing plaguing our world right now is what's happening with children and the sex trafficking industry. And
Yes.
I believe that this is one of the biggest food sources for the dark forces. And I would like to know what is the best thing that we can do to help this situation and help the children in any way? What is the best thing that we can do?
You may. If you wish, send loving frequencies, keep your heart open, maintain equilibrium in yourself, and know that this distant energy healing that you do is often well received. That is the first thing that anyone can do. You can as well continue to explore that idea of disclosure, though you must be careful as you do so, because there are many who are using the shock and the fear created by the realization of the reality of sex trafficking to hijack consciousness for their own purposes. So be aware that as you navigate these waters, many who don't really want to end this problem are using the idea of disclosure for their own purposes. And something that you can do is also to make many aware that not everyone who claims to be against this idea is actually against the idea. Now, one thing that is very powerful for all of you to do is to start to change the consciousness around sexuality itself and the idea of the division and inequality between the genders, as more of those who are trafficked are women. There is a connection here between the suppression of women and the suppression of your feminine energy in the world. So the more that you stand up in support of the feminine and in support of women creating stronger boundaries and being empowered and truly being able to understand which behaviors are abusive, the more you are changing the collective field so that these things are no longer possible. Because many women could not spot this energy that you describe as toxic masculinity. They still see it as something normal. And by doing work around this, your collective is changing quite powerfully. Of course, some of you may be able to even bust the idea of these traffickers, though unfortunately that is not potential for all of you. But trust that much of this is already happening behind the scenes.
Thank you so much. That really resonates. I appreciate your service. Thank you.
Oh, great. Thanks and love to you as well.
Hi, great counsel.
Yes.
Thank you for all your help. I have a few questions for you, or two, if I may.
All right. Yes.
This idea of bringing or balancing the feminine energy around the world, would you have more suggestions to do so? As I've noticed, various religions or spiritual practice still miss this balance, and it causes a lot of hurt within certain members and people. It's a paradigm, an old paradigm. So would there be ways to accelerate this help of balancing the feminine energy and the masculine energy?
Oh, yes, there are many. So we can speak about this on various levels. The first level being the internal level between your heart and your brain. Or rather, not even your brain as much as your mind. So the mind representing this masculine principle, whereas the heart represents the feminine principle. And what most people still attempt to do is to figure out what they are to do with their mind and then convince the heart to get on board with it. But it causes a great degree of half-heartedness and an inability to access this flow state. When you balance these energies, essentially the hemispheres of your brain unite and you enter into a channeling state or a flow state. And things occur from you, in a sense, automatically. You do not have to premeditate upon everything, because in that flow state, your mind follows your heart rather than the other way around. And this is the internal chemistry that sets up the rising of the feminine. It is truly the rebirthing of a heart-focused society. Now, another thing you can do is with the idea of gender expression, understanding that many of these attributes that you associate with feminine, such as, well, worst of all, weakness, and also the idea of certain behaviors, certain preferences, certain occupations, are not actually intrinsically related to the feminine. The same goes with the masculine. Not all behaviors and preferences and choices that you associate with the idea of masculine have anything to do with true masculine energy. And so you must then start to break down these barriers and individually notice, do you have resistance to expressing yourself in a way that others may perceive as masculine or feminine? Can you fully embody all of those qualities? Can you see the strength in what you have described as feminine qualities? And create a sort of equal value structure so that they are all of equal importance. Now, the next degree of expression is the idea of the rights of women in your society. So as you continue to work on this societal level and see the biases implicit in your culture and continue to work through internalized biases and help others do the same and stand for a world where women have all of the same opportunities and are valued for being intelligent and powerful and strong, not just beautiful and creative, but so much more than that. When you can do that, and when you consciously direct your focus to seeing the strength, the intelligence, the power within women, and highlighting it, then things will change in your society. And what we can say about all of these levels is surrendering. Surrendering because the masculine energy and male people are not actually demeaning women because they don't like them or they don't like the feminine. It is actually because they have great admiration and simultaneously immense fear that in that admiration, in that love, they will lose their power or be subjugated by women, because that has what has occurred in the reverse direction for so long. So you must surrender. You must let go of the idea that if, for example, you followed your heart, then things might go wrong and you would lose control of your life. You must let that control go immediately. You must surrender the idea of, if you express traits that you considered feminine or others considered feminine, that you would no longer be the same person. You must surrender. You must let that go. And you must, again, surrender any sense of personal insecurity around having the conversations and doing the work to make an equal playing field on that societal level. And you must surrender in every single microcosm of that as well. Any group dynamic, highlight when there is an equality and equalize that so that everyone is seen as empowered, intelligent, wise, capable. We hope that supports you.
That was fantastic. Thank you. I would like to add another question. It's a bit different, but may I? Okay.
Yes.
On multiple repeated occasions, I've been contacted or have, let's say, encountered certain kind of astrologers. And I found that over time, it kind of ended up into a money thing. Yet, understanding that from their initial point of birth, everyone does not have negative intention, I can sort of give an aspect of forgiveness when it comes to these individuals. Yet I am wondering, would there be a method to try to help them, or just cutting off connection with good intentions?
Help them with what?
Basically, maybe just changing a bit, not necessarily continuing this road of, you know, let's say money-focused service, or maybe I'm using a bit too soft words, yet, yeah.
Well, you must ask yourself first, do you have a bias towards the idea of focusing on monetary gain?
I don't. It is basically that
Alright.
I'm noticing some of them are trying to help, yet always put this interesting, overly charged aspect of things, which when it comes to this kind of spiritual help, okay, wait, maybe
They are overcharging, or they are over-exaggerating emotionally in order to make a sale. What do you mean when you say charged? Okay.
They're exaggerating emotionally. It does feel a bit like a quote unquote scam in a way, but I do understand that maybe I do not perceive their abilities. Yet either way, this sensing that they're not, they're kind of scamming people.
Yes, yes. So this involves then the shift from a fear-based mode of service to a love-based mode of service. And actually in your world, the fear-based mode of service is the most common. It is actually implicit in your medical and your psychoanalytic fields, because you continue to perceive that there is something wrong with the body or wrong with the mind that must be corrected. And if you apply this in the spiritual field, there is something wrong with the stars. There is something wrong with your chakras that must be corrected or compensated for. And the way that all of these models succeed is by exaggerating the fear, exaggerating the problem, so that impulsively the person says yes. Yet the shift out of this model must be made from understanding that when you use fear, you are lowering your personal energy as well as that of those you work with. When you use fear, you are keeping your vibration in a stagnated state, and every time you elicit fear in the other, in turn, you create fear within yourself. So these individuals must be fed up with the degree of fear that they feel in order to move on to the love-based model. And there also must be an understanding that the love-based model is more effective. When somebody is radiantly happy with the experience they had, they will let that love ripple out and they will send more people back. When somebody is motivated to connect based on a feeling of love, the person offering a service is also receiving the love that they are sharing, as well as any monetary gain. When you are using fear, there is no energetic gain, there is only physical gain. And when you really come to see the value in the love that is reflected in return, you can start to break down this fear-based model for yourself and for everyone. So again, somebody must be totally fed up with fear and start to value the idea of love, value the feeling of love, and understand that when people are motivated to change through love rather than fear, they grow in a clearer way, and they also become an ally to those that have supported them.
Great, thanks. I'll try my best to help them out on this, but
All right.
this is amazing. Yeah, you've hit the nail right in the head. They were using fear-based to try and, get people to work with them. And
Yes.
It's just theatrics to a certain degree. Many thanks.
Yes. And always remember that you cannot force somebody to change. You can only offer them a suggestion, offer them a new way. And when they are really ready, they can choose it. It is not a personal failing if they don't choose what you are offering them. And sometimes they won't choose the new experience and the new way of evolving right away. It may take longer for them to really get it. But in the moment, you are planting the seeds for their evolution, and you are also learning in clear ways how to communicate these love-based ideas more eloquently each time.
Great, thanks. I'll keep that in note, and I'll do my best on that. Thanks again.
All right. Yes, our thanks and love to you as well.
So, Pleiadians, I have a question on behalf of my friend who will
All right.
send in a donation. Her main question is about her health. She has really intense skin conditions, digestive conditions, severe fatigue, and she's just wondering if it's more spiritual or more physical, and is there any timeline? She has an appointment with a naturopathic doctor coming up, but is there any timeline where you can see a relief coming for her? It's just been super intense. That's a lot of questions bundled into one. Yeah.
All right.
What can you tell us about this?
First of all, there is no such thing as determinism. That is an illusion. So there is an infinite amount of timelines before you, and based on the decisions you make to improve your physical health and your spiritual and mental health, you may heal at a varying point in time. If you do absolutely everything in your power, you will see many of the symptoms disappear in 3 months and a total transformation in 6 months. That is if you do absolutely everything in your power.
Okay.
So it has to do with many dietary choices, and your naturopath will certainly support you and may add to this, reflect this, or clarify this in some way. Though, again, all sugar must be avoided, and even natural sugars that aren't directly from the whole live fruit must be avoided for a period of time. Wheat must be avoided, and grains reduced. Meat must be avoided, or at least reduced, and especially not red meat. Diatomaceous earth is a very powerful supplement that may support this healing process and remove toxins. Ashwagandha, turmeric, elderberry, astragalus. One moment. Cloves, garlic, ginger, echinacea. These are all helpful allies in the healing process to take as tinctures or teas.
Mm-hmm.
You may ensure that your water source does not have deposits of heavy metals, and if it does, a heavy metal detox is something you must do in the future. And you must replace that water source as soon as possible. Exercise and meditation and regular social connection are key. And as well, on the emotional levels, it does have to do with grief and fear that are beneath the surface. So working with somebody to get in touch with and release these energetic and emotional blockages will also be immense supports in the healing process.
Beautiful. Wow. Thank you so very much. You said the heavy metal detox should happen in the future. Is that like when the body's strong enough for that?
Yes.
Like a couple months down the line?
Yes.
Great. Thank you so
That would
much.
do. Oh,
Sarah,
thanks to you as well.
I have a second question if there's nobody lined up.
Go for it, Laurel.
Okay. Quite some time ago, I talked through a channel to some angels about self-hate messages, and
Yes.
and it, trying to think if it was in the group reading or it doesn't matter, I guess, or an individual reading or both, but excuse me, there was the answer that those voices were there because I hosted them. And also, I think it was in the second transmission, it was that I should just shoo them away. And yet I have other information, both, well, actually I would say a lot of sources, but definitely the Buddha said to invite, I don't know his word usage, but I guess the demons in, invite them in. And the coursework I'm doing now is about also inviting those feelings in. It's actually, it's a thought and a feeling. And so I'm rather confused. I guess I must, if the the source, the angel source was accurate, maybe I'm hosting them in the wrong way without, I don't know. I'll just stop there and let you clarify how I can resolve this conflict of sources.
All right, all right. If you were faced with an actual negative entity, may want to shoo it away, but in love. Understanding again, when you are fully connected to your source and you are fully feeling source within you, you emanate a strong frequency of unconditional love. Unconditional love will welcome those beings, but you will not need to push them away, because when they are fully loved and there is no fear present, they will go away on their own accord. Negative beings are attracted to fear. And if there is no fear present within you, then those negative entities will go away. Now, what you are dealing with is not a negative external entity, but it is your own thought forms that behave in a similar way to demons, but are quite different. Yet, the solution here is going deep to the very core. What is the belief system at the core of all of these thoughts? You can identify the belief system by seeing which thoughts repeat the most. Which thought do you come back to? What is the underlying pattern behind all of them? You may believe that you are unworthy for a certain reason. You may believe that you are incapable for a certain reason. You may believe that you are incapable and therefore unworthy. There are a various amount of different things that one potentially believes. Though once you identify the belief, you must come to see it as absurd and ridiculous. So if you shoo away a thought because you're afraid of it, you give it power, you see. But if you shoo away a thought knowing that, oh, well, this is absolutely absurd and ridiculous because my source self knows I am an innately worthy and powerful being, then the thought has no power anymore. So you must see the beliefs as absurd. You must see them as illusions. And when you encounter such a belief, come to ask yourself, well, what is the opposite of this? If you believe I am unworthy, the opposite may be I am worthy, or I am worthy intrinsically, or I am eternally worthy, or I have always been worthy. And once you find the new thought, reflect on it, meditate upon it, perhaps repeat it as an affirmation. And as you do so, allow your mind to do what it does and look for evidence for it. The more evidence you find to support the new thought that you are worthy will reinforce that thought, and that new thought will grow and in a way outroot sort of the negative thoughts, the negative belief. So we hope that makes it clearer for you, yes?
Yes, yes. And so, so the original information from the first source was not necessarily quote unquote wrong. It just needed some, I mean, at least for my purposes, it needed more nuances and
Yes.
for me to really understand it. And oh, my screen, you're not on my screen anymore, Dante.
All right.
Anyway.
We are on our screen.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so, and that leads me to another thing. I mean, just when something that is channeled doesn't resonate, I have had a bit of a hard time. I'm doing better with this, but just wanting to kind of swallow whole what comes through a channel. As I say, I'm getting better at just going, well, you know, that doesn't quite feel right. Maybe it didn't come through the channel right or whatever. I'm getting better at it, but just that I would be in conflict for so many years about this. It didn't feel right to me to just like shoo it away. That oversimplified.
That is why we say that you are your own embodiment of source. And whatever feels good to you. And we don't mean the light and fluffy sort of, I just had an ice cream good. We mean the empowered good. We mean the solid good. We mean the immense bright light and strength kind of good. We don't mean the good that comes and goes. We mean the good that is everlasting. When something strikes a chord of that everlasting goodness within you, it is true. And if something doesn't strike that chord, it is either because there's a belief system that distorts what you are seeing so that you aren't getting the full truth of what is being expressed, or it is because the information is really out of alignment with your personal connection to source and must be discarded. Perhaps that information is good for somebody else and helps them connect to source, but if it doesn't directly support you in embodying your source connection, that isn't the information for you.
Yes, thank you. Can I share a quick example of what you were speaking about, the absurdity of something?
Yes.
Yes, well, recently I had an experience talking to, I'm doing this Wednesday morning class and talking to, for want of a better guru of spiritual NVC, and offering a question at the end of the class that I felt might be a little borderline confrontive. And then I went into this, afterwards I went into this shame thing about, you know, I shouldn't have said that. That was really the wrong thing to do in a class where there's 125 Zoom people on the Zoom. And so, but I was able to access the recording, and I watched myself ask the question, and I was actually amazed that there was nothing bad and wrong that I'd done. It was just this tendency to shame, like to after the fact of something I speak, to feel immense shame. And I was actually seeing myself smiling, good energy, happy, you know, just in a place of positive energy. So
yes,
it was actually kind of absurd that I was shaming myself for something that didn't need to be shamed.
yes.
So I just thought I'd share that because it was so so amazing to me.
Yes. And you are seeing through this that nobody judges you as much as you judge yourself, yes?
Yeah, yeah. I think so.
So this experience of self-criticism is something that you can be aware of as an indicator that a negative belief system is at work. And you may simply continue knowing that this degree of self-criticism and self-judgment is not really the true you. And when you stop listening to it, in that sense, shoo it away, don't listen to it in the moment, you can look back later and reflect upon how you were really perceived and how you see yourself from that outside perspective. When you, again, remember that Source sees you as an aspect of itself, and Source itself sees everything as beautiful and perfect in its right, you can always remember your own beauty and perfection in spite of those negative beliefs. And the more that you remember that, the more those negative beliefs will cease to interfere because they will have lost their power.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, thanks to you as well.
I have a question.
Yes.
I've been for some time now coming across numbers. Of course, many years ago I started seeing 1111 often, but it is most recently on a daily basis almost. I see triple numbers, many times 777, 555, 2. I mean, it's gotten to be where it's like if I'm driving or if I'm out and about, it's, 5, 6, 7 times in a day. And
Congratulations.
thank you. I feel, it's exciting each and every time, and certain numbers kind of have a specific meaning that's personal, but I'm just curious as to the bigger picture of all of this, and what to do with it.
Well, this is a manifestation of synchronicity, which generally is representing being in the flow. So whenever you are following the pathway of your truest expression to some degree, synchronicity will feed back to you. It means that you're, in a sense, paying attention to the interconnected web of creation. And of course, it will show up with those personal meanings more of the time. So it will feed back to you those things that can help alert you to your own internal workings of how you interpret, say, for example, the number 7 versus how somebody else determines and interprets the number 7. Or you'll see an animal that has both a collective and a personal meaning at an appropriate time where you need to remember a certain energy that you associate with that meaning.
Thank you.
Yes. Do you notice that when you see these numbers, there's some particular experience or thought happening at that moment?
I do try to tune into that. However, it's kind of hilarious just how often it is. So even I went camping recently, and on the way there was just, these numbers everywhere. And
Yes.
I do try to just, smile and feel like this trip was meant to be, I'm on the right path. I just wondered if there was any more, or if it's just kind of helping me, like you mentioned, to stay in tune, if it's bringing me to that present moment of, it feels like support. It feels out there for me.
Yes. It is supportive. It is helping you maintain that flow. It is helping you to trust. So extend that gratitude for all of the signs you are being given. And again, pay attention to the specific thought or the specific connection that you are thinking of immediately as you see the sign, because it can often show up as a symbol or a reflection that what you are thinking or what you are connected with is the right pathway for you.
Nice. Yes, I will do that. Thank you.
Yes, our love and thanks to you as well.
Sarah?
Laurel, yes.
Are you-
Let's give people some time to, just in case there's
I was,
anyone who has a
yeah.
question.
I'm just checking in with you to see if there's
Yeah,
people
I have a
lined up.
question from someone on Facebook that I need to ask. So yeah, so this is the follow-up to the hybrid question. And
Yeah.
he's asking, when did they start doing these hybrid experiments? And it's kind of a funny question. And why wasn't the public notified? As if we'd be notified. Anyway, no judgment. I'm just, I'll just report the question.
All
Yeah,
right.
when did this happen, and why wasn't the public notified?
The first experiences
Sorry.
relating to the hybridization program began in what you would consider the 1920s and 30s, the very first. Now, what you must also understand is that part of this process is non-linear. So, for example, in your 70s to early 2000s, the initial grays were often the ones coming to bring their energy and to obtain the DNA for their hybridization program. Yet, back in the initial phase, it was sometimes the later phases of the hybridization program that were going to that specific time for a specific purpose. So, for example, the Sasani sometimes would go to that time frame to obtain DNA for their hybridization program. Now, this is speaking generally because all of the hybrid programs did do some collection of DNA at all points in your time from that early 1920s to now. But again, you must understand it is non-linear, and therefore when you ask as well, what age is my hybrid child? We cannot really give you a number because it is occurring in a parallel reality, but there can be a typical age that you connect with that child at in their own right. Now, why weren't you notified? Well, again, the idea of extraterrestrial life, if it were announced way back then, would have triggered a mass psychosis in humanity, a very great dissonance and fear that would not be productive for your evolution. So it had to be, and to an extent still has to be, kept under wraps, but that is breaking. The veil that keeps you in the fear-based consciousness is breaking, and soon it will be quite well and easy for us to reveal ourselves to you. Give it another 6 or 10 years at best.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, if there's nobody else who has a question, Laurel, you can go ahead and ask another question.
Okay, thank you. The fact that my son and I were talking about spirituality and his belief about Jesus, and got me to thinking about a question I've had, that I'm curious if Jesus came from another planetary realm. I feel like he's the most potent force for love that's happened on the planet, you know, at least in the last 2020 years. Could you just speak about how he came to be and be here on Earth, and how to sort of what would I say, his general significance, or even his specific significance?
Yes. So, does the Jesus or Yeshua come from a extraterrestrial realm? Well, he did bring through strong energies from certain realms, and in his life he was having a spiritual connection with many extraterrestrial groups, specifically bringing in soul codes and blueprints from the Arcturian realm. Now, the Christ, like many, are teachers of ascension and embodying divinity or source in form. the Christ, again, was bringing in the idea of Christ consciousness, or more specific, crystal consciousness, that is holistic, fractalized thinking and seeing. The true embodiment of unconditional love, where you see everyone beyond you as an extension of yourself as source. This was his core message. He also was a symbol of the era of the age of Pisces coming into being, which began a bit before his arrival in your world.
Okay. Would you say he's like, I mean, some people follow Buddha, and Buddha has not been the most in my heart, but like, what am I trying to say? If he was, quote unquote, for want of a better word, more, no, I'm not going to use that word. I'm just going to say, was he more able to bring the idea of love and the potency of love to the earth plane than, say, Buddha or any of those previous evolved incarnations?
More? No, certainly not more.
So
Different,
it's
quality.
Different quality. Okay.
For a different purpose, a different group of humanity, again, is affected by one teaching than is, say, for example, affected by the teaching of Buddha.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
And if that teaching resonates more with you, then that is the energy for you to personally connect more powerfully with now. And that may change as you evolve, though no, at essence, all of these teachings are one. They are teaching different aspects of embodying source consciousness.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yes, I thanks to you as well.
Great, I've got a question from Facebook. It says, if I can ask a question here, I think recently, a few days ago, I was abducted by aliens. Can you confirm this possibility? And I wonder what they wanted to abduct me for.
Oh, yes. Well, you were brought to an Arcturian ship for the purpose of shifting some energies within you. They were giving you a sort of energetic upgrade to support you in your evolutionary process. And it occurred at this time because you are now ready to embody a higher frequency energy in your life. And so you can actually request for this experience to happen again if you would like, and they may tell you when they may come to share their frequency with you again, or take you to their ship or any other such location.
Great, and she wants to ask, which galactics are closest for me to connect with? I'd love to help bridge the gap for open contact. Sounds like she's having open contact. I have a strong sense of some connecting, but unsure of who they are. Okay.
There are many connecting with you right now, and there may continue to be more. In general, you are making the strongest connections to what you know to be the Pleiadian, Yael, and Assyrian frequencies, though there may be others that would like to reach out to you as well. So stay open.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, let's see if I have any more Facebook questions.
I have a question, please.
Great.
If I could ask.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. So I've heard many prophecies that some things are going to get worse for us in December, and I'd like to know, what is the best thing that we can do to prepare for this moment in time? I've heard a lot of people talking about storing food and things like that, and I just wanted to know if there's any advice that you could give us to prepare for the times ahead.
Yes. So you may want to plant seeds, literally, for the future, learning to connect more with the earth and growing your own fruits and vegetables may be well and good. And beyond that, strengthen your community connections. Make sure that you have a lovely place to live and to stay and strong people around you. Strengthen your bonds so that you have many around you who can support you if things do become more challenging. And as well, simply tune into the energy of love. Strengthen your immune system by cleaning up your diet and cleaning up your emotional expression so that you may be in a more positive, free-flowing, easeful state. Now, we don't want to add to that fear. We would say that these are simply good things to do. There will be more waves of confusion and chaos, though as long as you do not allow the fear to bring you to make irresponsible decisions, you will be fine.
Thank you very much. That's very helpful. And just one last thing, I don't really ever ask personal questions on here, but I just wanted to ask, my mother's suffering quite a lot from chronic fatigue, and I wanted to know if there's anything that she should do to help herself.
Yes. Is she using sugar?
I'm not sure, but I can tell her not to.
Yes, that will help quite a lot. That, and perhaps actually taking some different supplements like valerian or skullcap to sleep at night, because much of this is from sleep being disturbed. She may seem like she's sleeping a lot, but perhaps is not going to the deepest states. So making sure that rest is good, the nutrition is good, and that any anxiety is worked through and released. Because understand, this anxiety that is behind the fatigue is really the root cause. When you are not fully relaxed and flowing in life, fatigue is your body's response, because you will not relax in your own right. So your body will then use the fatigue, in a sense, to shut you down. And understand that there are many substances and behaviors that add to that anxiety rather than diminish it. So she must do a thorough investigation of what is really building her energy up and what is causing her to feel unsettled, because that unsettled energy in the background then leads to the fatigue.
Thank you so much, Pleiadians, for your service and beautiful light and gift for the world. Thank you so much.
Oh, yes, our great thanks and love to you as well.
Hello.
Hello, yes.
Hey, I'm wondering if you could, like, what my higher self has to say about my upcoming moving in with a friend in a couple days to a different town.
Does that feel exciting for you?
Well, it does. It feels like it's gonna be like an upgrade in many ways.
Yeah.
And also, though, it feels like there might be things I should consider as I do this if I want to really have the best experience possible. And I've kind of.
All right. Such as?
Well, such as like. Well, like maybe I need to like prepare my mind mentally in a certain way before I can do for it.
Well, what do you need to prepare for mentally? The
I don't know, like,
adjustments?
I don't know, like
accommodating a different person?
Maybe making sure that I don't allow this person's energy to overwhelm me in ways, because it's overwhelming person in a sense, but also a very inspiring person that I'm dealing with.
In what sense might you be overwhelmed, you suppose?
Because I think that my ultimate, like, more long-term life desires are different in a way than his, and I'm like not super tuned into like being fully on that path of my own things, I think, at this point, it seems.
All right.
So I just got to focus on that. Yeah.
All right. So what we do sense about this shift is that it's going to allow you to be more creatively free, more in tune with yourself, and you must, in a sense, make it a practice to be able to say when you need to make your space. And when you sort of initiate this habit early, you acclimatize the other person to knowing that you have energetic boundaries and you are not always willing to be there with them in certain ways. So when something starts to feel as if it is unproductive or negative, lowering your vibration, it is important to immediately set your boundary and say, I am simply not going to participate right now, and I need to do something else, but I love you and I thank you. And knowing that when you do that, you can always return if it feels right to do so. But having those boundaries is key, and remembering to prioritize what fully excites you will also make for a greater expansion through this process.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
I don't know how we're doing.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. Hello, everyone.
Hello. Yes. Welcome.
So my question, I'm not sure if you answered this or not, so I apologize if you have already. What's like the daily thoughts that you personally have in your daily life, like with your with the Pleiadian Council? Like I remember you were talking, like, basically in the human race we have 90% of the same exact thoughts from the previous day, or something like that. What do your thoughts consist of, like, on a daily basis?
All right. That depends very much upon what point in the idea of time you are viewing our civilization from, and which particular group of Pleiadian beings you are directing your focus to. For we are a very varied bunch, you could say. So we can say about a certain pocket of time when we are, in a sense, experiencing reality in a more quasi-physical way. We are shifting our focus between many dimensions. We are having many different experiences simultaneously. So we are, in a sense, reality bridgers. We can move, for example, into your reality, but we also visit many others. So really our thoughts pertain to what we are specifically focused upon at any given point. In the life of our world, well, we do not need to eat or even sleep. So we don't have the same needs, and therefore the idea of routine is in no way the same, though there are certain celebratory experiences that we do share together that are in a way similar to your idea of music and art, that engage us in higher cognitive experience that is also a vast transference of information. And we use these different tools that you may consider art to communicate the experiences we have individually as we travel to different planetary spheres and to different dimensions altogether.
Okay. So it sounds like you guys are just present, kind of.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't have anything to expand on that, but thank you.
All right. Yes. Our thanks and love to you as well.
Appreciate you guys.
And we appreciate you as well.
Let's see if I have a Facebook question. I'm just sending someone the link, but let me take a peek and see if we've got any more questions on Facebook.
All right.
Okay, let me look for a second here. Well, in the meantime, while I'm waiting to look for that, I have a question. Just one of my long-standing dreams has been to move with, soul family to a land-based community. And I'm just wondering where you see that in my timeline at this point, and if there are things that I can do to expedite that that vision, that becoming a possibility, because it's a great passion to live more closely with my beloveds and more closely with the earth, outside of the city, where there's a much more of a deep communion with the stars and the earth.
Yes.
So I just wondered what you see in the timelines as far as that is concerned.
There still may be leads that pop up during this whole experience you are having. There could be a very good window of opportunity for buying in your winter, though the best things that you can do is expand your connections with those who are interested in sharing this community together and continue building that connection, and also continue in your search. Encourage them to do that as well. Perhaps open your field of possibility to collaborate with even more people and see how it goes. There may be a window in the idea of winter and also next year sometime.
Would you suggest creating a Facebook group or posting on other intentional community Facebook groups?
Yes, that would help.
And I'm assuming a lot of these people are already in my life, like Gayla and Johnavy, although I think they may be moving to another community in the meantime, maybe sooner than us finding this land. And I'm just wondering, is this land here in the Pacific Northwest the first land that we will purchase?
Quite possibly, yes, most likely.
Because I really feel drawn to Hawaii a lot too. So, but that might be, I'm thinking maybe down the road a bit.
Yes. You can also tune into potentials to get land there.
Cool. All right, thank you. And I'm not seeing questions. Hold on, let me just look at your timeline here. At Dante's timeline.
Hey, I can ask a question.
Yes, ask her. Hi, Emily. Blessings.
Hi. Yeah, really
Hello,
good.
yes,
Thanks.
welcome.
Hi, thank you so much, Pleiadian Council. I would love to ask, is in terms of us being on the New Earth timeline, is it a case that we can actually go back, or once like we're in, we're in?
Are you speaking as individuals or as a collective?
Yeah, as an individual, as individuals. So like obviously I very much am there, and I'm just
Well,
wondering out of curiosity. Yeah.
you could shift out of it, though it would involve a sort of deep self-betrayal, in a sense, of intentionally going against what you feel to be correct for yourself. So you do have the choice to do that, but you aren't going to choose that, are you? Why would you?
No, of course not. No, I was just wondering if that is like divine plan, like as in, yeah, once you know, you know.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Though
is it a
one
case that
must also
oh yes.
one must be sure that what they know to be the higher truth is actually the higher truth, because there are many who are trusting a plan right now that they believe to be in the highest good of all that is not. So one must again question if their ego's comfort is guiding them to a truth that is actually a falsehood. We're not saying that this is the case for you, but for those listening, sometimes there is the experience of thinking you're on the path, but not really being on the path.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Okay, love you.
Yes, I love to you as well. Anything more?
I mean, there's always more. Because I've been listening to today, and some people have asked about their guides. In fact, I'll ask this. What's your take on the book A Course in Miracles? Thank you.
Well, the channel has not read it, so we are vaguely familiar with the frequency behind it. We can speak to that this is a quite empowering and rich discussion. There may be some things in the book that can be misinterpreted, though it is well intended and very much aligned with universal love and free will. So we do think of it as a quite potent mix. Is there some specific idea within it you are
Wonderful.
questioning?
Thank you. Well, I really resonate with it, and I literally am activated as I read it. But yeah, I'm just hoping, I'm just hoping that it's definitely aligned rather than
Yes.
leading me
Yes,
somewhere.
it is.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. If
Oh,
there's
thanks to
any,
you as well.
if there's any guidance from my guides or any information there, I would gladly receive it.
Well, you are powerfully walking your path, and we see you in that, and in the love you are bringing here. So continue to live from that love, continue to be bold, and much expansion will continue.
Thank you so much. I love you all so much. Thank you.
Yes, our love to you as well, and our thanks as well.
Hello, I have a question.
Yes.
So, let's say for someone like me, I've journeyed from a shadow side, let's be honest, and I've journeyed to this beacon of light, being this amplification for many to utilize as an example. So I have a lot of cords that many I have cut, but there are still attachments from other sources onto me. So my question is, what could I do to assure my space is constantly purified, or that I don't have these quote unquote psychic attachments that may drain me or might have a life force drain?
So you are saying you have cut your cords with certain individuals who still feel a personal attachment to you.
Correct. And I also, back in the other earth, my job was in corporation. So there's followers on social media, and my face is on different things, like branded stuff or photo prints, tutorial videos, whatnot. So it's sort of hard because I will have a day of pure joy, and then there'll be that one instant of what feeling was that, and then I will just completely go into a lower frequency. So I guess
Yes.
what type of practice can I do to, I guess, continue to purify myself and cleanse my temple, my own personal temple?
Yes. Well, with the first thing you discussed, you must understand that if you have cut your cords and if you are firmly anchored to the earth and open to source, no one can siphon energy from you. Once you have broken that attachment, they can try to come in all they want, and you may even meet them in dreams, but those can be opportunities for you to set boundaries and experience the power of your own energy bubble. And if you have not already done so, you can do meditations on creating a clear and strong aura, imagining that light pouring in from source and up from the earth, and creating that energetic bubble around you, knowing that when you emit love, you attract love, and those frequencies that are not vibrating at the same level cannot really reach you. And as for these moments of a sort of flashback, you could say, of a lower frequency, they are really invitations to reframe the past. So a powerful tool would be to, in those moments, take a pause if you can, and ask yourself, what was this emotion trying to tell me? And when was the very first time that I felt this particular emotion? What memory is associated with this emotion? And allow the different scenes to sort of flash back through your mind. And when you find one that resonates at the core with that emotion, go back into that memory and relive it. And as you relive it, experience all the details of it. And then when you are complete with the memory, shift to the third person perspective and interact with your past self and share with them what you now know. Share with them the love and the power you are now experiencing, and use this tool to create a new memory. Perhaps envision a different choice that you would have made if you knew what you know now back then. And instead, re-imprint this new memory so that the energy from your past no longer snaps into the now. And you can do this with many memories until you feel truly complete. It will, in a way, help you reframe the past, and it will show you why you had to follow the particular path that you followed, because it taught you lessons. You may be judging your past self, but when you see the lessons that you learned from that journey that you would not be able to learn otherwise, and that you are now able to teach and communicate with others as a result, you will feel the empowerment that comes from having the particular journey that you have.
Thank you so much.
Great.
Yes, thanks. And love
Thank
to you
you,
as well.
Erin. Nice to see you on here.
Good
Okay,
to
so yeah. So Alyssa has a question. Alyssa, honey, why don't you go ahead and unmute yourself?
Aloha!
Hi,
Thank you so
sweetie.
much
Hello,
for that opportunity. Wait, can you? Yeah, okay. So my question is, okay, now you hear
Honey,
me
you've got a
better.
bit of an echo. Do you have earphones?
Yeah, now it's better.
Okay, okay.
So, okay, regarding to the children meditation of organizing a mass meditation to liberate certain topics of like human trafficking and stuff like that. I really want to know, because in the beginning we were actually wanting to do one once a month, and tuning into that possibility, I felt a little bit resistance with moving forward, and because I was feeling that it may not be safe to do so. And I really want to hear your take on that, because I know many people from my like direct circle who have experienced things because they spoke up, or because they did things that were maybe not in alignment with other forces, or people whose wife disappeared and stuff like that. And because I know the stories, I feel a little bit not as safe to do it once a month, even if I would like to do it once a month, because I know it's important. So I would love to hear your take on that.
So what sorts of things happen to these people, if you can say a little bit?
It's quite intense. Should I still say it?
All right, yes, why not? Maybe.
I love you guys. Well, I know of one person who did something against human trafficking, and she actually ended up being raped by the police. And I know I met another person in a meeting who is, I don't know exactly what he's doing. I think he's just like sharing information about how the government operates, or maybe he's sharing information on specific inventions that are available to us or technologies. And I know that his wife died mysteriously. And I mean, you hear these things all the time, and so I'm just like wondering if it's okay when we do this like strong, energetic work. Yeah.
Yes. Well, when you are doing energy work without revealing information, you are less detectable. Because what they are really attempting to block in these cases is certain ideas and truths being revealed. So if there is something that registers in you as something that is potentially dangerous to share, then don't share it. But if you simply do meditations to liberate those who are captive, and you term it in that way, this is a meditation for liberating those who are captive in the world. You create a container that allows for your intention to be fulfilled without, again, being so detectable by such negative forces.
Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. And so you think a little bit of information sharing is okay, but maybe really more focus on the positive intention and the meditation.
Yes.
That makes sense. Thank you. And then I can ask another thing.
All right.
Okay. So, yeah, it's kind of like the same topic. And so, yeah, I'm wondering in general, is there any way how we can, I don't want to say protect, but for the lack of a better word, let's say protect ourselves and our circles and our communities and our gatherings from infiltration?
Yes.
Just because it's something that happens quite a lot right now.
Yes.
Can everyone mute, please?
To use encrypted platforms of communication is helpful. So one such being Signal or Telegram, rather than the other methods of communication that you may be using.
Okay.
And sharing these things word of mouth will be a bit easier as well. Understand, again, these negative forces can feed off of your fear. So if you have much fear in preparing a gathering or any such experience, it will create a stronger field of attraction to bring in such a negative energy. But if you are focused on a liberated and pure state, it will not be as easy to attract such a thing into your experience.
Okay.
And you pay cash here?
There's a lot of background noise coming from somewhere.
Angela, can you please mute? I'm going to go ahead and mute you. Here we go. Okay.
Anything else related to this subject?
No, I feel complete. Thank you. That was really good information. So you say signal and word of mouth, and obviously staying in a state of love.
Yes. And do be careful what specific information you put in certain descriptions. You may be general in your online communications and be specific when it comes to sharing this in person.
Thank you.
Yes, our thanks to you as well.
Okay. Blessings to you guys. Thank you so much for your service.
Much love and blessings to you as well.
Okay, I've got a question in the chat. So, hello, Pleiadians. Last time you said I have a false need to know, excuse me, regarding a connection with a twin flame guy. First, what does that mean? Also, this guy is not manifesting himself, so I don't know what to think about. I don't know if the guy is interested or not, or if he is not ready, and I have to stay on background, waiting for divine timing. Please, what is your insight? Thank you.
All right. Well, this person, again, is your perfect reflection in the moment. If you are seeing this person as not ready in some way, you have to ask yourself, are you truly personally ready for the idea of a deep relationship? And we would say to you and everyone that if you are truly ready for that idea of a relationship, it would have already manifested for you. So the best thing to do is to accept the parts of you and the belief systems and the point in your life that would make it so that you are not ready, and embrace the journey of going from not ready to ready. In the same sense, this idea of a relationship through that particular person or other ideas of a relationship may come to you when you hold the vibration of readiness. You will resonate that, and therefore you will attract that. And again, with the need to know, well, this is a very common thing that you think you have to bring yourself into everybody else's field of energy in order to understand what to do yourself. And understand you will need to know, or rather you will know everything you need to know in the moment you need to know it when you surrender. So if you let go of this idea of the relationship and simply focused on expanding yourself and making yourself more well and whole, then you would have very different experiences coming into this new relationship.
Great. She has a second question. It says, I am used to feeling pain in the chest area and in my breast. Could you provide healing for me, or say, what does that mean and what I need to know regarding this pain? Thank you.
This is an opening in the heart. This is pain that directs your attention to your heart. The heart, as it opens, sometimes can bring about a feeling of grief for any loss or any lack in your life. And so, in order to open the heart to the greatest bliss, you must go through those deeper feelings of contraction, of despair, of loss that you may have endured, and embrace them. This is also love coming through your heart. And the love can feel tense when the heart has not fully opened before. So allow this feeling, allow it to come through you. And the more you come to live through your heart and the more you make peace with this feeling, the more things will transform, change, and expand for you.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, and someone on Facebook has a question about, and we're almost getting, this is probably going to be our last question unless we have someone who has a really burning question. Someone on Facebook is just asking about how is it the best way to, what is the most effective way to like send energy for healing for the whole planet and the whole human race? And yeah, and just not only when it's desperately needed, but just sending it in general in an effective way to heal the earth and humanity.
The best way is to be the energy of love. The best way is, again, in what we always say, of in every single moment choosing out of everything you could do, everything you could focus upon, and anything you could connect with. Choose what brings the greatest feeling of love, passion, joy, and connection for you personally. Knowing that as you do this, the energy ripples out through you. And when your frequency itself is naturally high, naturally flowing and glowing with light and peace, everything you focus upon receives that resonance. So
beautiful.
You cannot really send energy yourself if you are not in a high state already. So elevate your own vibration and know that when you're in a high flowing state, the moment you focus upon any person, any situation, any idea in your world, energy ripples out from you. So you can do the idea of distance healing by tuning into the greatest love that you can feel and imagining energy flowing from your body and energy field to that place. And as you do that, bringing in universal love from source, imagining that energy filling your crown, earth energy filling you from the root, flowing out through your heart, keeping yourself connected and in tune as you flow this energy through you. And continue to live your love. The more you do that, the more energy you will have to share, and the more power will emanate from you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that.
All right. And our great thanks to each and every one of you for choosing to tune into this transmission and choosing to apply these teachings and choosing to live your own personal love. Know that anything you do that elevates the feeling of love and connection and power within you will in turn amplify that in the collective as well. Know that these are immense and powerful changing times, and they're the most powerful window for you to tap into love. You have the potential to transform your whole planet when you transform yourself. So we hope you enjoy that growth, that transformation, that journey that awaits all of you. Our love is with you, our thanks is with you, and we look forward to connecting in other ways in later transmissions. You can always meet us and your own guides by tuning in and remembering that all is one, and all of these connections exist already within you. So our great love and thanks to you, and we wish you then a very pleasant day.
Thank you so much, Pleiadian Council.
Welcome so much.
Thank you, everyone. Yay, welcome back.
Welcome back. That was awesome.
Sweet. It's beautiful.
That was really good. Thank you.
You're
So
welcome,
good.
everybody.
So much information.
So much love and beauty and yeah, it dawns on me that as more of us, become love, we can just send that love into any situation and not even
Pretty
like
simple.
an official meeting that's child trafficking, or you know what I mean? We just send it, we just become it and just keep sending it, and then it just ripples out.
In everything you do, it ripples, it shines, it grows.
Love grows, it ripples, it shines. I'm gonna write a song.
Yeah.
Do it. Beautiful people. That was, there was such a lovely communication. So flippin' interesting about the drug. The first aspect was fascinating. I would have to listen to that again.
Yeah.
About the
drug.
About the antiviral.
No.
Yeah, and
in
how
general.
people are set up.
Yeah.
You know, people are set up to go against it that
Yeah.
are creating more antagonism so that it will. I mean, it's just, I find that when I get into my head and I start thinking about that stuff, I lose my joy. So I just say, forget
Yeah.
it. My joy's more important.
That's why I
Yeah.
kind of turn it into a joke every time I post
I
about it.
know.
It's
I'm
like,
just not even
Yeah.
gonna.
it's really
Lighten
it's
it up a little bit.
absurdity. It's
Yeah.
absurdity.
At a
It's
certain
absurd
point,
times and
yeah.
things we're
Yeah.
living.
It's a reflection of our times.
It is, and at a certain point, you know, it's like the ultimate victory is just, okay, if it takes me into my head and I'm not in my joy, then forget it. I just don't even
Dump it.
go there.
Yeah, exactly.
Joy or bust, right? Bust me open with joy.
Yeah.
Bumper sticker.
Yeah.
Love you guys. Love you
Love
so
you,
much.
Amanda.
Bye, Emily.
I sent you that
Love you so
Boston
much.
song. I'm like,
I know. I'm going to listen to it later.
when I first connected with Amanda, I thought that Boston song, you know, I'm gonna hold you in my arms, will tell you all your charms, Amanda.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you. All our charms, all our charms, all around.
Yay! All right, guys.
I definitely saw lots of orbs around
Oh
you.
yeah.
Oh,
What was
hi,
that?
Angela. There's your face. Hi.
Hi.
What was
Lots of
communi-
orbs around you during the video, so I'm curious when you watch back. And right when you said you were leaving or said goodbye, another one kind of like it came.
There were orbs. Oh.
Nice.
Maybe I have a better camera now that actually picks those things up.
Yeah. Another benefit.
It's a feature that's been added to our phone's spiritual connection.
Now receiving orbs.
The orb app.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think shitty cams pick those things up, I would imagine. I don't know. That last phone was such a problem.
I'm glad you got a phone. Yay, that works. Good job.
Yeah, it's
Now you
great.
just got to move to a house where you got peace and quiet.
Oh, I went to a new spot the other day, and
Oh, yeah?
like I arrived just a little bit late, and like she miscommunicated in her message. And anyway, I'll tell that story in a minute, but just want to remind people, if you would like to donate, so appreciated.
Oh, yes, we've got the links right here on the Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do private sessions, and there will be a channeling course again in some months, and I'm actually going to work on a Reiki course in the meantime. But anyway,
Wow.
so yeah, I went to view a place, and I was just a little bit late. She sent me this message like, come after 1, and I arrived at 4. And she said, oh no, I wrote come at 1, and I was like, no, you didn't. And she gave it to somebody else, but there's another room that may open there in a little while, which would be really nice because, I mean, it's very quiet there. It's not very close to town, which is a thing for me. But I just figured that I meant to be close to town while I do certain things in this moment. And when it's time, I'm going to head out there. There's not really good internet there, so I'll have to use my phone's data for everything, but it shouldn't be too bad.
Cool. Well, let's send prayers for that.
It's so quiet out there.
That's so good.
So quiet.
Can you still walk to town?
Yeah, it's a half-hour walk or so, though.
Yeah, that's okay.
Might be good.
Not too bad.
Hey, can I do a quick announcement?
Do it.
Plug.
Yeah, for sure.
So mid-August, I'm starting a class called Riding the Wings of Joy. And it's all about staying buoyant in our joy and maximizing our connection to the Divine Mother Matrix, which came in like mid-July. So it's all about starting to really be in this flight, in the groove of dynamic passion in every moment and oneness. So it's you can find it at tinyearl.com/wings of joy.
Say that one more time.
Yeah, Tiny Earl, you know, TINE, like tiny URL.com. Yeah, not the name Earl, a little tiny Earl.
Okay.
No, tinyurl.com /wings of joy.
Okay.
And it's going to be an 8-week class, and it's going to be a play shop, and I'm super excited. So
sounds great.
join me.
Mid-August,
We'll decide on a time. Yeah. that works for everybody, because I feel like if a lot of people from Europe sign up, it might be in the morning. If people from Australia sign up, it might be in more in the, you know, I got to try to.
Poor Australians.
Dante knows this.
Poor Australia.
Yeah.
So
Australians can tune into very many things I do live, but I'm thinking of adding one monthly one that they can tune into.
That's a nice
yeah, I'm
idea.
always trying to pick up Australia. I have a few friends over there, and I'm just like, oh, I'm not awake yet. I don't know.
You know, there's like 12 million people there. I don't know.
Oh, only 12 million. Ah, who cares?
Compared
It's a
to
whole
like
continent.
1 billion. I don't know. It's
Demographics.
no, just kidding. I love you, Australians. It's just you're a little bit inconveniently timed.
Yeah.
And you are in the future, though. It's like a day ahead all the time there.
All the time.
That's always interesting.
That's funny. All right, guys. Well, it was a pleasure today, and then I guess we should sign off. And yay!
Bye, everybody. You guys like my
It's
tattoo
awesome.
now?
Thank you
Yeah,
again.
your tattoo is really, wow, that's intense. Holy
It's crazy,
cow.
isn't it?
I see.
It's crazy.
It's growing
It's evolving
too.
like a painting.
Yeah, it's growing.
It's a
I
living
didn't
work
like
of
it at
art.
first,
I
but
know.
with the color, it looks a lot better now.
I'm so happy. That's great. That's important to be happy with it, for goodness sake.
There's actually the Pleiades right there. You can't really see it
Yay!
because he used really
Oh,
bad white
nice.
ink. But they're gonna. My friend has better white ink once it heals a little bit. Got infected. The Pleiades were an infection on my arm for a week. It was crazy.
Oh, I have no
They were an
desire to get a
infection on my
tattoo.
arm.
I've never had a desire. It's like I've had so much pain in my
It's
life
not
that
for everybody.
to go get more pain on purpose, it's just like, no.
It doesn't hurt that much, though.
Oh, really? That's good. If I did,
The
I'd
hand-
have rainbows, though. I'd get a super rainbowy, like
I know,
massive
yeah.
rainbow dragon across my belly.
I want a hawk on my shoulder, but I
The
don't
rainbow
have it
is the
yet.
next part.
Oh,
Yeah.
rainbow, yes.
Nice.
All right, guys. Much
The
love.
hand poke doesn't hurt, but the machine hurts.
Ugh.
Anyway.
Interesting.
No pain. Joy. All right.
Pain and pleasure, loss and game. I don't know. They're all the same anyway. Doesn't matter.
I would beg to differ. Okay. All right. On that note, a discussion
All
for
right.
another day. Bye, everyone.
Okay, sounds good.
Bye.
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 Ciao, ciao.
Bye.